This is Jay Navarro from the Suicide Machines, and you're listening to The New Scene.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The New Scene. I am your host, Keith, and we are back with another brand new episode. And on the show this week, we have Brittany Luna and Tim Hildebrand of Catbite. Catbite have most definitely made a name for themselves in the world of ska music and have helped to revitalize it with their fresh take on the genre. And we meet with their vocalist Brittany and their guitar player Tim to cover the whole history of the band, their personal takes on ska music, the correct origin of the term new tone, which has been getting thrown around a lot lately, a deep dive on Catbite's new EP Doom Garden, which features a guest vocal spot from Patrick Stump of Fall Out Boy. It's a great conversation, and that's coming up shortly. But first, here's how you can support The New Scene. Rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a main channel with full video episodes and a clips channel with clips from select episodes. We have shirts for sale at our store at Death Wish Inc. Pick one up. It's a great way to support the show. And you can follow us on social media at New Scene Pod. Also, don't forget to support Iodine Recordings. The debut LP from Drought, Souvenir, is out now, and you will hear more about that shortly when we talk to Viggy. Make sure you pick up the vinyl and listen to it on the streaming service of your choice. As the Sun Sets, the complete discography from Iodine Recordings, this is all of their recorded material spanning 1999 to 2002, is available now to order from Iodine Recordings. All tracks were remixed by Kurt Ballou from Converge and God City Studios, and remastered by producer Jack Shirley. And it has all new artwork. I love As the Sun Sets. I was just talking about them recently. Their debut LP, that is a classic. Make sure you pick this up. The All Dead Bars Go to Heaven record release show is taking place Thursday, August 21st at Belltown Yacht Club in Seattle, Washington. And Stretch Armstrong, the 20th anniversary reissue of Free at Last, is available now for pre-order via Iodine Recordings. There's 5 different vinyl variants, so make sure you pick one up before they're gone because this will go fast. And don't forget to pre-order With Teeth. That's the new LP from the Casket Lottery, and that will be out August 29th. For more information, head to iodinerecordings.com, sign up for the newsletter. You'll find out about everything first, and you can follow the label on Instagram at Iodine Recordings. And please support our sponsor for the month of July, Evil Greed. In addition to their online store, Evil Greed offers tour merch, merch handling, and logistics services for tons of bands. They also offer merch and distribution solutions for bands and record labels in Europe and the UK. Evil Greed has a carefully selected roster of artists and labels in their online store. They offer very reasonable worldwide shipping rates specifically to the UK and the USA. So make sure you head to evilgreed.net. They've always got the latest merch, the latest updates, premiere records, all of that. All right, let's see what's going on at Evil Greed this week. We've got merch from Sun. We've got merch from Brutus. We've got merch from Blood Incantation. We've got new merch from Sun. We've got new merch from Der Weg Enir Freiheit. We've got new merch from Agriculture. We've got new merch from The Hotelier. We've got new merch from Spy Giants. A whole selection of new shirts here. Military Gun. We've got new Military Gun shirts. I hope you're heading over to evilgreed.net to check these all out. We've got a new LP from Der Weg Enir Freiheit. It's called Inern. We've got a new LP from Agriculture called The Spiritual Sound. We've got a new LP from Higher Power called There's Love in This World If You Want It. We've got a new LP from Lathe of Heaven called Aurora. And, of course, the new LP from Drain called Is Your Friend. We've got more new music from Spiritual Cramp. Stretch Armstrong, Free at Last, the pre-order is up. Deftones, Private Music, the new LP from Deftones. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. Private Music, the new LP, up for pre-order at evilgreed.net. And make sure you check out the Evil Greed Essentials. I'm looking at the list of records right now, and there's a bunch of good ones in here, most of which I own. For more information, head to evilgreed.net, and you can follow them on Instagram at evil_greed. Okay, so check back in with me in segment 3. We'll do a wrap-up of the conversation with Brittany and Tim. I'll tell you everything that's going on with me. My band played a gig earlier this Monday with North End and Signal Hill. I'll recap that. We'll cover everything. But right now, we are going to speak to Brittany Luna and Tim Hildebrand of Catbite. Enjoy. All right, we are here now with Brittany Luna and Tim Hildebrand of Catbite. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes,
We're here.
I'm glad we could make it happen. There was a near fatal scheduling error on my part. It has not happened at New Scene Inc. for many years, but it happens sometimes. But we are here now. This is also the first dual person interview I've done in a long time, but we got to try something new, right? We have to.
Yeah, we have to. We have to.
But it's great to have you both here. You know, Catbite just put out the excellent Doom Garden EP that just came out May 30th on Bad Time Records. There's a lot of great stuff coming up for the band, tours, and all kinds of good things happening. But let me ask first, how are we doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it was a very chill day for me. I went and got my nails done.
And
Nice.
I worked all day, and then here I am. No, actually today was pretty chill. I'm a mover, so it's pretty grueling. Obviously, especially it's like it's finally the busy season, so it's most of my days have been upwards of 10 to 12 to 14-hour work days, and today was a
light load today.
A light load, only 7 hours. So I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, mover is an intense job for sure. Yeah, there's no being lazy when you're a mover.
That's true.
Yeah,
It's
you
physically
have to
impossible
move the
to be
stuff.
lazy. Yeah, we pick it down, pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down, just literally all day. So yeah, the chill moments are riding in the truck to the next place. So
Yeah. How long have you both been married?
It'll be 7 years this year.
yeah, it'll be 7
And
years in September.
In September, and we'll have been together for 12 years, I think.
11.
I think it's 12.
We'll report back, I guess. It's somewhere around that. I think it's 11.
All right.
Well, so yeah.
12 years. Hold on, I'm very bad at math. All right. 2025 minus 12. That puts us at 2013. Okay. I always like to know like the year things happen for whatever reason. So
Yeah. I guess it would be 11 then, because
Yeah.
we like officially started dating in 2014.
End of 2014.
Yeah.
And we met beginning of 2014, like January.
Yeah.
you both live in Philadelphia?
Yes, we do.
Where at?
We are in Fishtown, Philadelphia. I don't know how familiar you are, but yeah, Fishtown's great. We've been both of us. I've been in the city about 16 since 2009. You like dates, and then you.
Yeah, I moved here in December of 2013.
Yeah, we've been in Fishtown in this house for about 2.5 years.
Awesome. I'm very familiar. I grew up in Bucks County and I lived in Philadelphia for 9 years, mostly in Fishtown and Kensington.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. I love it here. It's cool. It's definitely, I've been kind of all over the city since I moved here. I moved here to go to Temple University and just kind of have floated around, southwest, brewery town. But yeah, now Fishtown
has been really nice. We lived in Kensington as well, and we lived in like East Kensington and Port Richmond and South Philly and West Philly.
Yeah.
But I do really like Fishtown a lot.
Yeah. It's number
now
one.
there's a Starbucks that's being put up, and that sucks.
Where?
On Frankfurt Ave.
What?
Right,
I know.
right at Belgrade and Frankfurt Ave. So it's like already crazy,
it's just
traffic.
congested all the time, and it's about to get way worse.
Yeah, I think they're opening it in like a month. So.
Once Starbucks goes up, it's really over. That's it.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It sucks.
Yeah.
I'm pissed, but I was hoping somebody was gonna like throw some bricks through the window or something. But
It did have some cool graffiti on it already.
Yeah, and then they took it down.
Wow. Yeah, I was there late last year and early this year. I used to live at York and Frankfurt,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
like close to Lost Bar, and I was there.
Yes.
And
Where she works.
I worked there.
You work there?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. I lived right near there. I used to go there fairly often. And they put those giant condos right across the street.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
So
so
weird.
weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to Martha? I worked there too for like 6 years.
No, I moved out of Philadelphia in September of 2012, and I've been in Brooklyn ever since.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that would have been just before Martha started.
Yeah.
Cool bar, but it's
Yeah.
closed now.
Tim, where did you move to Philly from?
I grew up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, so not too far away. Yeah, a small little town called Lidditz, Pennsylvania. It's kind of in the heart of the Amish world, and just, I kind of hate it there. I was very, very happy to leave. As soon as I turned 18, I was like, I'm out, right to the city, and been here since. And I don't really go back anymore because my mom moved away. She's up in New Hampshire now, so I have no ties back there. So pretty much just avoid it.
How about you, Brittany?
I actually grew up in Fort Lauderdale, and I lived there through like most of my high school career, and then I I ended up going to like a state college in Orlando. I lived there for a few years, and then I was like, I always wanted to get the heck out of Florida because I always felt very not in the same vibe as whatever Florida's got going on. And also like my mom is from Westchester, PA, and she lived in New York City, and she kind of romanticized the idea of like big city living. And I was always like, I got to get out of here. I got to live in a city. And so as soon as I could, I did that.
Nice.
Yeah.
How did you settle on Philadelphia?
Well, I mean, I would come and visit family that lived in like Westchester, and we'd go to Philly. And I was studying music in Orlando at the state college I was at. I was studying. I was actually studying classical voice, and I wasn't really enjoying it. I obviously really liked it, but I just never. I didn't feel like a connection with the music, and I started studying with this like adjunct professor who started doing a 30-minute jazz voice lesson, and I loved it. And she actually had a friend that worked at the school that I ended up going to in Philly. It's called University of the Arts, which is no longer here. Yeah, I was like, all right, well, my mom is like in Philly, my family's in Westchester, and I want to get the F out of Florida. So I did. And and I went to school there, and it was awesome. I love Philly.
Yeah, it's the best. That is, I still love going back. There's just always a different energy there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not like a late night person anymore. That used to be my thing. I'd be out all night wreaking havoc, but I don't drink anymore or anything else. But, I have friends that work at bars there, so I'll go and I'll hang out till like 1 a.m., which is like crazy for me. I never do that anymore, but I love going back, and that's where I discovered independent music, going to shows back in the day at Stalag and Kill Time and different hardcore shows in the burbs and the cities. So it's just, I love it. I love it. Any opportunity I have to go back, I do.
Yeah. Where do you live right now?
In Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
been
my
here
best
for
friends
the past 8 years or so. So, but my job is here, so I cover this region, and my band is here, so I will be here indefinitely.
Nah, it's a good spot. Good spot.
And you're not far from Philly, like not far at all.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's not rush hour, you can get down there in an hour and a half. It's great.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about everybody's intro to punk music, independent music, whatever you want to call it. Tim, let's start with you. What was your entrance to it? What grabbed you? What kind of things were you into?
Well, it all started with Linkin Park. I just when I was like in elementary school, that was Linkin. This was I don't know. I don't even know. I was like 5th or 6th grade, and I started hearing like Linkin Park and stuff on the radio, and got just really gravitated towards it because of the alternative and the screamy vocals and stuff like that. And that was like my shit for years and years. And so Lancaster, specifically the city I grew up in, Lidditz, it's a very small town, super like upper middle class, conservative, like boring. There's not a lot of alternative kids there. So it wasn't really like there was that scene to like kind of become. It was like very, very small. Like there
used to be like a great hardcore scene in Lancaster. Is that not the case anymore?
I mean, I'm not sure. It was like because this small little town that was like, 10 miles away from Lancaster, because Lancaster City has a lot of culture. And that's where I ended up eventually, going to shows because they had the Chameleon Club in Lancaster. And that's where once I discovered, punk and stuff, that's where I lived. But yeah, it was like, I don't know, about middle school or something like that. There was like one of the very few like cool punky kids. Wasn't cool, but like, he was picked on very much, but like, I thought he was cool because he kind of looked like the members of Linkin Park. I would just kind of take note of the band t-shirts he was wearing and, some of these like the Unseen and stuff like that. And I was just like, this was also about the time period of LimeWire. And I didn't have internet at my mom's house. She like didn't get internet until I was like a senior in high school. It was crazy. But, so I would spend my summers at my dad's house in Northwest Pennsylvania. And so I think at this point, it's maybe like ninth grade is when I'm like really taking notice of this stuff. And I like kind of take notes of these band t-shirts. And I'm like, I start looking them up on LimeWire just because they looked cool. And it was like upside down American flags, just like, chaos and stuff. So I just started downloading everything and anything. I would go to record stores FYE at the mall and stuff. And I would see those bands, and I didn't really have any money, so I couldn't buy stuff. So I would steal it on the internet when I was at my dad's, but then it like kind of linked me with other bands to look up and other bands and stuff like that. So I just got super into punk rock, maybe, yeah, like the summer between 9th and 10th grade, just destroying my dad's computer with all the viruses from LimeWire. But like, I just had this huge collection of music, and a lot of it was also like not labeled correctly. So like I was discovering bands that I thought was a different band and just like loving them. Which is actually how I discovered like ska and ska punk. I thought I was listening to the Unseen, but really I forget exactly the story, but I ended up buying with my own money a Rancid CD. I bought Let's Go, thinking it was like the Unseen and like street punk and stuff. And then I was like, oh, this is not that at all. It's like this whole new world. And then I kind of discovered all the Hellcat Records stuff, and then discovered bands like the Slackers and the Agrolites and Westbound Train, all this reggae and ska, Rocksteady. And then just all the Hellcat Records stuff. And that's where I just kind of, it consumed me. And I also at the same time was meeting more people at my high school that were also into these bands that I was now discovering. Like this one guy, Todd, he kept wearing a Clash shirt. And then I finally figured out the Clash was this really cool, influential punk band. I became obsessed with them, became friends with him. And then we just kind of bounced music off of each other and started going to shows. And yeah, my life completely changed. I started, I remember my first punk show, just like I studied Linkin Park Live in Texas, the DVD, to know how to behave in the mosh pit. And I knew exactly what to do. So I went nuts at that first punk show and just like destroyed my body. It just went absolutely nuts. And I was like, I'm like, I want to do this forever. And like, I didn't really play any instruments or anything, but I was like, I kind of want to be in a band. And didn't really learn anything until a couple years later. But yeah, that definitely just changed the trajectory of my life.
I like that. The old days of the mistagged bands on LimeWire and all those services, like, is a good way. It's a good cheat code to get people to listen to your band. You just call it Glassjaw, unreleased song, and then everyone's like, oh, great.
Exactly.
Brittany, how about you? How did you get into this whole thing?
Well, so I grew up in Fort Lauderdale, and it was like very much, and I also went to like Catholic school, and I don't know, I think like a lot of my friends were like very not punk. And so I grew up listening to like a lot of top 40 and like hip hop and like R&B and pop. And so I grew up really loving that stuff. But then like as I got a little older and like a teenager, I started going to like pop punk shows and got really big into pop punk. And I was like trying to think like what my first show on my own was. But I would go see so many shows I don't really remember. But I would go see like Good Charlotte and Hey Monday and 303 and like all these like weird pop punk bands. And I don't know, just from there, like my love of like going to shows and watching people perform, I think just like, I mean, I started singing as like a kid. My dad is a singer and, would like have me and my brother write music when we were young. So like, I always kind of really enjoyed music from a young age, but like going to shows, and like seeing the energy and like feeling the energy from bands and the crowd alike was like just like an eye-opening experience for me. And so I always knew I wanted to be in the music scene, like whatever scene, just like in music in general. And I love performing and singing, so I would just go to as many shows as I could. And then I decided, I was like, well, I want to continue to study this and like try to make it my career, and went to school for it and studied jazz voice. And I thought, you know, eventually I'd be a jazz singer, but no one really likes jazz.
Yeah, it's a very niche it's a very niche thing these days. But Philadelphia has a jazz club. What is it? Chris's Jazz Cafe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I played there before. Yeah, I tried my stint in the jazz scene, but it's just so, it's like, it sucks to say, but it's so cliquey and it's like very male dominated, and there's like no room for like a vocalist. They only want to play with other instrumentalists, and it's really shitty.
Yeah, I could see that. If it's really small, it's probably hard to break in, you know? Wait, didn't Ortlieb's used to be a jazz club too back in the day?
Yeah,
I think it did.
Yeah,
I was there before when they still did jazz there. And I went, I think I went to Chris's before, but I was really high, so I don't remember exactly what happened. This is a long time ago.
Same.
I think it was cool, though. I remember having a good time. Was it hard for you to get situated in Philly, Brittany? Like, I mean, when you got there, did you know people? Did you start going to shows? And like, how was it for you?
I didn't know anybody besides my mom and like my family that lived in Westchester. And the first show that I ended up going to was because, you know, I'm new to the city. I don't know anybody. And I got a job right away. And I was told about this really cool ska and punk show that was going to happen. And it was this band called The Snails, which was Tim's old band. And that was like my first show in Philly. And it was like, I don't know, maybe a month I'd been in Philly, and you know, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go hang out with like my work friends.
Yeah,
at
because
we
worked together.
Yeah, that's how
like,
we met.
Yeah, right when she moved to Philly, she got a job, and it was at Insomnia Cookies that I was a delivery guy at, and she became my shift leader. And then we just, you know, I'm like, of course, I'm telling her about my cool band, my cool ska band. I'm like, you should come through. And yeah, that was the first.
But it was awesome. That was like really, I mean, I had listened to ska music before, but like really just like third wave, like 90s ska. And I mean, I have an appreciation for it, but it was just not like, it didn't hook me. And at that point, his band was more like trad, like 60s Jamaican ska, and I had not been introduced to that before. And so I went to the show and I like danced the whole time, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, what is this music? This is amazing. And then yeah, like Tim was really my like introduction into like the like digging in deep into the ska scene, which is really
cool.
Just
Philly music scene in general. Yeah.
How long were the Snails around? What years?
So that the guy I was telling you about wore the Clash shirt, he was the singer of that band, and he started that band in when we were both in 8th grade. I want to say like 2002 or 2003, maybe four 2004. Maybe 2004. Anyways, and then we became really good friends. I started managing the band because managing quotes. I was 16 years old. I would just drive them to the shows, the one show that they had every 2 months, and I took a screen printing class just so I could make Snails shirts and like sell them to people in the locker, like in between classes and stuff. And then eventually I got grounded when I was 17 and for about 2-3 months. And
wait, you got grounded for 3 months?
Yes.
What for? Yeah. We have to know.
Isn't that crazy?
So my mom found out that I had previously smoked weed in my life.
Oh,
I quit. I'd already quit. I already stopped because the girl I was dating at the time didn't like it. So I stopped. But then she found out that I had previously smoked weed. So I got grounded until I was 18.
Oh,
so
that's rough.
Yeah. So, but it has a happy ending. So this guy, Todd, this was at the end of our senior year, and the other rhythm guitar player was not going to do the band after high school. But everyone else wanted to keep doing it. So he gave me a guitar and showed me the chords to all of their songs. And so I taught myself how to play guitar when I was grounded. And then got ungrounded and then joined the band. So that was 2009, joined the band. And we were an active band. We moved the band to Philly, the next year. And we toured and, did the DIY touring I was actively in the band for 9 years. January 2018 is when I quit the band. We were just, it was, everyone hated each other. It wasn't going anywhere. We had done a bunch of tours. We weren't making any money. We were sleeping on floors. Everyone was just sick of it. So I quit the band, and then the band broke up a couple months later.
That's a pretty amazing sequence of events. Think about it. You get grounded, you teach yourself guitar, and you end up in this band for all those years.
Exactly. So thanks, Mom. Or should I say thanks, weed?
Yeah, it's really weed. It's really weed that you should thank.
Thank weed for Catbite.
Thank weed for that's like a new album title or a T-shirt, something. Yeah, you have
sticker.
to. Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay, I'm gonna work on that.
We're gonna bookmark that for later. Okay. So, how does Catbite come together? When do we talk about it? How does it happen?
Yeah. So so I quit that band January 2018. And also another reason that I kind of quit the band is we were kind of going in a different direction. I think we were all just like, everyone except for kind of me was like done playing ska because we were sick of playing to 4 people every night. Like we literally were a ska band in the worst years to ever be a ska band. Like that's just when people hated it the most. And it was just
dark times.
So
it was like a meme. I didn't hear about it again really until you came around. I don't know, when was that? 2020, 2021, you started hearing about it again. And that's the thing about the modern age and the internet and everything. Nothing goes away anymore. Everything just comes back around in loops.
Right.
Yeah. So we were also like changing the direction of the sound, kind of being more of like a garage rock, glam rock type of band, which it was like cool, but we were like changing our old songs to fit that. And I was just like, yeah, we're a ska band. We have all these fans that really like our music. And I'm just like, this sucks. I'm done. So I quit that. And then a couple months later, I was talking to was about to graduate from
I graduated in 2017.
Oh, so you had just graduated.
We knew that we both wanted to do something together, like musically, because we both love music, and it's something that we had talked about for a while. But I was like busy with school, and working like 3 jobs and going to school full time was a lot.
Yeah, and I was busy with the Snails.
Yeah,
and another like punk band I was in.
Yeah, and it just was like didn't line up until like 2018.
And I was just like, let's start a ska band.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had our original bass player, Johnny, who I worked with, and he kind of was in the same situation as me. He just left a band that he was in for a long time. And I know he's really into ska and like, especially like two-tone and stuff. And I was just like, yo, do you want to start a ska band with me and Britt? And he's like, yeah. So then, I booked us a show a couple months, in advance, or like, this is maybe April, and I booked us a show for June. And then I'm like, all right, we have a show. Let's write songs and let's get a drummer. And then
yeah, we didn't even have a drummer.
Yeah, because we wanted Chris, who was our OG drummer from the beginning, but he was also in a bunch of bands, and he's like, I don't know, like, because the three of us were such good friends, and he's just like, I don't know if how serious you are. I'm in all these bands. And we were at the time, we're like, we have to practice once a week.
Yeah, we were like trying to be really legit. And he was like, I at that point, I think he was in like 6 different bands.
Yeah, but he's like a ska drummer, and I had toured with him in another project that I was doing where I was like a band member for like a solo artist doing ska. So me and him, we go back. But we wanted him, and we convinced him to at least record some demos. And then after he recorded the demos, where he literally learned the songs in the studio and played them, and it was perfect.
We were like, well, you already know the song.
Can you play the show? And then we got him to play the show. And then here we are.
And he was hooked.
Yeah.
How long after the show did he agree to be in the band? Was that just it after that?
I think because I told him we had another show. And then, because I think I booked our second show before the first show even happened, and I don't know. It just like it. He
wanted to. Yeah.
It wasn't like he was like no. It was like he just didn't really want to commit. Didn't realize how serious we were. I think because like I said, we're all like just good friends. And how many times does someone say, "Let's start a band. Let's start a band"? But like I guess recording demos. Also the demos that like. It was, we did a Selector cover, we did a Little Richard cover, and an original. And all I did was we did like a little video and recorded it with our friend at a little studio here in Philly. And I just put the videos like out on Facebook, and literally my entire Facebook feed is all of the ska friends I've made along the way, like since like from the Snails days. And people just were so excited. Like it's like the very first video we put out, it was just everyone loved it, and I think he saw that and was like, oh, okay, this is real.
It seemed like things took off pretty quickly. Like the band got started. I read that you didn't have the drummer and you made that happen, and then you just booked studio time and recorded, right? And then Bad Time Records came along right as you're getting started, and they were like, hey, let's team up, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And Mike is who owns Bad Time Records. He's a longtime friend of mine. His band Kill Lincoln and the Snails, we played together all the time because they were like a DC based band. So obviously we go back a long time, and he shot me a message on Facebook Messenger. It was like, hey, I'm starting a new label. It's going to be kind of the Asian Man Records module, where it's just like band and community first, just like DIY fun, all just like ska punk, just like fun. And obviously we literally just put out like one Facebook demo. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And we just started writing songs, and that we played maybe like 4 or 5 shows, and then put ourselves in the studio for like 2.5 days that December and January, like right over New Year's, and recorded our first record. And then it came out a couple months later, the Catbite self-titled.
Yeah, I read your first LP recorded in 4 days for $500.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2 full days and then like 2 or 3 afternoons. And it was with our friend James Riley. We call him Jimmy. I don't know if he likes it, but he likes it when we say it. Just at this little studio, and this was also the first project that he's ever done studio recording with. He's like a live sound engineer, and he's just a good friend of ours. And he worked with Britt and Chris at World Cafe Live, where Chris still works there. Britt used to work there, and he was just like, yeah, I want to practice like recording in a studio. And we're like, well, we don't have any money, and we need to record stuff. And yeah, did all that and very quickly.
What studio was it?
It's called Panther Pro Studio. Panther Pro Studio. It's like, it was just a tiny little.
I think so. Yeah. That was like the company.
Yeah.
That he was working for.
They do mostly like live sound, like rentals and stuff, but they also just had like a tiny little studio in the warehouse that they could record stuff. Just banged it out there real quick.
I was curious because I read that you recorded part of Nice One at Sleepless Sound.
Yes.
Yeah, just a couple of the things that we didn't get to finish. in the original.
Yeah, we recorded most of it in Long Beach, California, and that was over in November 2020.
November 2020.
Yeah,
Yeah.
COVID was still going on, right? It was like a whole thing.
Yeah, and it was very weird time being over there, and there's like nobody out on the streets.
Yeah, we literally just quarantined ourselves in an Airbnb and just
we'd go from the Airbnb to the studio and then back, and then just do the same thing every day. But there was we had like a COVID scare while we were recording with the producer. His girlfriend at the time thought she may have had COVID, so we lost 2 days.
2 days.
Yeah. So
quarantined.
yeah, we didn't end up getting to finish everything that we wanted to out in California. So we finished the rest of it at Surreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually recorded at Sleepless Sound before. So when I was reading that whole story, I was like, oh, wait, I recorded there.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've also done a couple little one-off covers and random stuff over the years also at Sleepless. We did
Sleepless. I said Surreal. Not Surreal Sound.
Oh yeah, Surreal's where we practice.
We practice.
But yeah, we did it with our friend Lucas Kaczynski, who's amazing. He's a good friend of ours, and we're just like, hey, we didn't finish our record. Can we come in real quick and just rip a couple? It was mostly backup vocals and a couple guitar leads and some keyboard,
keys, yeah,
maybe, and some tambourine and stuff. It was like
aux stuff.
Well, it was one day of just kind of all the little things that we ran out of time in California to do.
Brittany, was it? Had you been in bands before Catbite?
In Orlando, I sang background in this funk soul band. This dude named Evan Taylor Jones, and it was just his his stuff, and then he had the band, and it was really fun. But that was my first time being in a band, and we played a lot. We would play all over Florida. But this is my first time in my own actual band.
For some writing.
Yeah.
Was it difficult for you all at all to adjust to that? Because I've been in plenty of bands over the years, playing bass, playing guitar, but I was in a band singing and playing guitar together for the first time in 2017, and we recorded at Sleepless Sound in 2018. And it was hard. It was hard to learn how to sing and play. It was hard to learn what range my voice could be in. I actually went to record vocals at Sleepless Sound, and I was trying to do a high, Anthony Green vocal type thing.
Yeah.
And then my friend Richie was producing and recording the record, and I was like, is this working? And he was like, yeah. he in a very nice way, he told me no. So I dropped it down 2 octaves to something that worked for me. So it was, it was a lot of trial and error to figure it out, even though I had some experience. How was it for you coming into this band, Brittany?
Well, the scariest part for me was for the first couple of years of Catbite, I played keys, and I'm not a keyboard player, but I know how to play, and I really enjoy playing keys, especially ska. So for me, that and singing was a really new thing, and recording that too, because I was not as comfortable singing. For me, I feel I've been doing it my entire life, so that has, and then I went to school for it, so I'm pretty comfortable. That is my main instrument, and I know how it works, and I know what works for me and where I lay and my register and all that. So that wasn't as nerve-wracking to me as playing keys and singing together and trying to make it musical and interesting and not fuck it up too much.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel for you, it was learning to write.
Learning to write. Yeah. I mean, I would write songs, but I never liked anything that I had ever written. I self-taught. I taught myself how to play guitar. So I was playing guitar a little bit and would write stuff, but I was so critical of my own music that I would never release anything. Or I would my song and then immediately get rid of it and throw it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm still that way. I recording my band's last EP was such a experience, and then when it finally came out and people said they liked it, I was like, are you sure? Really?
Yeah.
I'm overly critical of everything, but that's just the way it is.
I mean, I think we're both that same way. Even up here with Doom Garden, it's just what, you like it? Thank you.
It just is such a vulnerable thing to
exactly
put your everything out into these songs, and then you release it out for other people to like listen to and be able to give feedback and criticism and tell you if they liked it or if they didn't. And that's just such a vulnerable space to be, that it's really fucking hard.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, I'm glad that we do it, because it's like, it's a release for me for like my mental health and emotional health. So I have to do it, but it's scary every time.
It is. And yeah, that's it's the same way for me. I put everything into the music, like all the emotion in one way or another. I talk about everything in the songs like I don't anywhere else. Live, I let it all out like I don't, like nowhere else, you know, so it's like that. And yeah, there was a situation recently where someone said something about something I made, and I perceived it as very critical. And it was a misunderstanding, and I took it really personally, and it really hurt. And that has made me realize just how important it is, right? Because I had not been in that situation before where I thought like someone was coming out what I was doing. Like, does that happen to you? Does that happen to Catbite at all still? Like, do you ever read something or see something and you're like, oh, really?
I spiral.
Short answer, yes.
Yeah, no, I mean,
it's very few. Like we've been really lucky. Sorry to cut you off.
no, you're good.
We've been very lucky that we've had a lot of love and like really good feedback, and you know, people seem to really enjoy our music, and that's really cool. But there have been like a few comments, and it's always just, you know, really dumb stuff that you're just like in your head, you know, when you come back and think about it, you're like, that is so stupid. Why would I even give that my time? But like it means so much to us to be putting this stuff out into the world that it's like you take that shit real personal, and you know, then you want to get back on there and like explain yourself, or you know, say
even if it's like user number 4577777
like,
on
you know,
Instagram that has no followers, it's just, you know, some troll that's just saying, yeah, this song's mid, or like makes, even if it's something about like our appearance or anything at all, it's just like, you know, especially like this band means so much to all of us. This is our everything. We've given up our lives to do this, and because we love it. But yeah, just like any little thing, just like, you know, I'm trying my best, you know, to just focus on the positivity, which is just enormous, and not focus on that like one little idiot who has to say something just to make themselves feel better.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, literally, I feel like I talk about this in therapy more like this is like most of what I'm talking about in therapy is just like that, you know, because it is so important to us. And you know,
but that's that's just a human response.
Exactly,
and like,
yeah.
I try to tell myself that, you know, it's okay to react that way, but like to try to put a limit on it, like, you know, where I'm not like responding back to anybody, because like then it becomes like a detriment to myself. Yeah. And it does nothing for us to like, we can receive the hate, but like just let it go after that and keep moving.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The random comment from user 59437 doesn't matter, because, you know, people who are creating, people who are making things aren't talking to each other like that typically, I have found. And I get it. I mean, I was one of those guys on the internet before dogging everything. I don't know. Hopefully people go through that cycle and then get out of it. And yeah, you just have to ignore it and move on. It's Reddit. It's always Reddit. Is it Reddit for you? I was getting dogged a little bit on Reddit the other day, and I got really mad, and then I wanted to like respond, and I was like, no, don't. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, it's a little bit of Reddit, and
Reddit's a scary place.
Yeah, it's very. It's like, you know, it's a little bit of Reddit, and like especially the things I've noticed now is like it's a little bit on Facebook, because things tend to like get shared to like the places you don't want it shared on like Facebook. I don't know what it is.
Facebook's a chaotic place.
Yeah, it sucks though, because there's so much good. You know, a lot of music fans are on Facebook, and also like I feel like there's a lot of like real true music fans that are there to like, receive information. Whereas
Facebook and Reddit are two of those places where I go on Reddit a lot for different things, video game stuff or different subreddits I read. There's some good stuff on Reddit and a ton of really bad stuff. And I feel like it's the same for Facebook. Like there's probably, I'm not really on it, but so I don't know, but I'm sure there's good stuff on Facebook, but it's also a cesspool for like misinformation and like weird right wing or just bizarre stuff,
Yeah. So it's rough, but we do what we can. And I think I don't know. I think we're getting better at it and getting better at like focusing on the positivity. And like, it's also helpful that like we tour so much. So we get to see like the positivity in real life, which that's the best kind because it's real. And you don't have user 45 coming to you at the merch table to say your set sucked because no one does that in real life. They have to, hide and,
no one is that brave.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
If they did, that would be actually a lot better because then I could have a conversation with them. And like,
although there have been several times that people have come up to like the merch table and been like, what would be really cool if you guys add horns to the band,
or just like little suggestions on how to make us better. That's always fun.
There was one time that somebody did come and said like about how this, like, I think it was like Call Your Bluff or something, and like how it was written and that they would have written it like this, or the ending should have been like this. And I was
it's
like,
Not Your Baby. And it was some guy messaged on Instagram a whole thing about how the song could have been a lot better. Actually kind of funny.
But not in person.
No,
I
it wasn't
could have sworn it was in person. Okay.
No.
Yeah, that's always fun. Yeah, you know what? Depending on who's delivering that message, I've been in this situation where like a musician I really respect is like, oh, like you could have done this or that. And then I'm like, okay, I kind of idolize you, so I'll listen to that. But if I don't know if it's just a person, I maybe I wouldn't be as receptive. It depends.
Yeah. But also, I feel like that person that said that was probably coming from like a place of like care, and you probably felt that. And I think you can feel it when it's not coming from somewhere nice. When someone is just like, you know what? You should do it this way.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Someone told me that before, like they care. They care. Because sometimes even with this show, people will be like, oh, you should do this or you should do that. And I'll be like, I don't want to listen. But someone once told me, no, they care. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. They care. Yeah. That's a good thing.
Yeah. There's constructive criticism. And then there's just like saying stuff to hear your own, like just you're in love with your own voice and you want it. You are the best, and you need to tell people that you are the best. Yeah. There's a total difference. Yeah.
So you didn't hear about ska for a long time, and it was kind of a meme. You always hear the meme. It's like, oh, ska music is what a kid hears when he gets like an extra mozzarella stick and all that stuff. Yeah. but like I started hearing about it more. I don't know, 2019, 2021, and then I would hear your band name come up a lot. It seems like you're kind of at the forefront of this new tone movement. I've heard that phrase used. Had that been a term before you and all of this?
New tone. So New Tone is just our good friends, Bad Operation. They're amazing ska band out of New Orleans. They're also on our record label, and they're very much kind of like similar vein as Catbite, where it's minimal horns. It's a lot more about the guitar and the vocal harmonies, and like a little bit more two tone, and less of the like ska punk, like upstrokes really quick and then super punky stuff. They're a lot more our stuff. They coined the term New Tone because they are like a two-tone band from New Orleans. And then I'm not really sure why, but yeah, for some reason the name New Tone.
People grabbed onto New Tone, I think.
Which it's totally fine. I mean, I don't call us a New Tone band because it's literally describing Bad Operation. And I also don't, I feel like labels can kind of get messy. And I feel like I did see a lot of, there's been a lot of ska bands that did not go away. There's been ska bands busting their ass nonstop, especially like, it's back in my Snails days when the Snails, we would tour with all these bands and we were all doing the thing, playing to no one, but like we were still thriving. And a lot of those bands are like, wait, what is this New Tone? Like, why can't I get a piece of that? So I've always kind of been like, you can call us whatever the hell you want. We're a ska band, like, and that's cool. Like, if it's a marketing ploy to get more people talking about not just ska, but new tone, this new wave, because people like the waves, the third wave, is this the fourth wave? I don't give a fuck. Like, it's ska, man. Like, it's just, there's just, I understand that, like, it kind of went hand in hand with this ska boom quote. So I think it was just kind of an excitement thing, and a lot of people kind of latched onto it.
Yeah.
And
but I do think that Catbite is definitely like at the front of this like newer, wave of ska bands, new ska bands, but also like the resurgence of ska bands that have been doing it for the entirety of the dark days and back.
That's got to feel good, right?
Yeah, it's really
amazing.
cool.
Honestly, like, we've kind of talked about this a lot over the years, and kind of like trying to get an understanding of why. But it just seems like there's a million different things that kind of happened at once. There's, music kind of happens in cycles, and we're kind of like going back to that cycle of like early 90s, that aesthetic and stuff like that. A lot of the people that are, too cool, that would shit on ska, they're growing up. They don't give a fuck. Their personality isn't about hating ska anymore. They're into whatever the hell they're into. And
so then it's like okay to be like, oh yeah, I used to listen. I was in a ska band,
and especially as it's getting more popular, they're like, oh yeah, I like ska. And like then there's the new generation, the Gen Z, and I think they just they kind of really latched onto it, and had no idea, because they're kind of hearing it with fresh ears, but also they're not getting bombarded with ska is lame, ska is for dorks, ska is corny, ska is white people mariachi, like shit, like crazy things that people say, which is like, okay, well, it was invented in Jamaica in the late 50s, early 60s. No, but a lot of people don't know that fact. A lot of those,
I think TikTok had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, and there was a lot of TikTok. A big one being like Ska Tune Network. They really, I don't know how familiar with them, but they just did a lot of pop covers in ska and kind of went viral on YouTube and TikTok and stuff. So it was just like all these things, but then also, just a lot more bands kind of being active. And it just kind of built this kind of community where everyone kind of discovered like, oh, this is like a fun community where people kind of like care about each other, and people start going to ska shows and then realize this is like awesome. Like everyone's having fun. It's kind of super eclectic. You don't have just, 30 dudes wearing black band t-shirt and skinny jeans standing in a corner, like waiting for the bands to start. Like you have weirdos of every,
very, very inclusive, the ska scene.
Yeah. And
I was going to say earlier, it seems like some of the nicest people, which is great. You probably don't see a lot of crowd killing or gang activity or fighting and stuff at ska shows, right?
Nope.
No, just a lot of skanking.
Yeah, and like
skanking in a circle.
We've played maybe like 300 shows at this point, maybe more, maybe 400. There's been one fight,
and it was in Brooklyn.
At Meadows. There was one time where there was a fight, and
dummy. I think he was drunk, and like he was, I guess, having fun, if that's what is fun to him. But I noticed that he was like putting his like whole arm on like the back of like these like small girls' necks in front of him. And so I stopped the show and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And his response immediately was like, well, she started it. And I was like, okay, get out of here. This kindergarten ass answer. Yeah. Like, get out of here. So we kicked him out and then we continued the show.
Yeah. But that was like the one time.
Yeah.
And it's the same as like if I 400 Catbite shows, whatever, but then like all the other shows I've been to that are like ska adjacent, all that stuff, it's just like it doesn't really happen. People are there to really have fun and socialize and just be weird together, and it's cool. It's real cool.
I was curious about your view on the whole new ska movement and new tone, that term and all of that. And I understand what you're saying, because when the whole emo revival happened in 2010, that was annoying to me, because I was like, I never stopped listening to this.
Exactly.
The classic bands, newer bands, like I go to the shows, I'm still listening to it. So I don't know, the revival and the marketing, it's like, hey, I've been here the whole time. And and people just always get it wrong, which is annoying because it's like, oh, you listen to emo? Oh, do you listen to My Chemical Romance? No. Oh, do you listen to the Blood Brothers? No, they're cool, but no, not really. And it's just like they just always get it wrong. And then then okay, well, what do you listen to? Have you heard of these 5 bands? No. And then I just feel like an idiot. It's that's why I don't really like to talk about it unless people know, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's pretty much the same thing. Like I'm just super happy people are really getting into it. And if people want to call it Newtown, go for it.
Right. And that's one good thing about the internet now is that people will find things, and like younger generations can find ska and they don't have all the preconceived notions and jokes and all of that stuff. It's just like, oh, I found this cool music. Same thing happened to nu metal. Nu metal was a very dirty term and no one would touch it. And now that's come back around, and then we get all of these newer bands with different crossover elements that are cool. And I like that because I've always liked crossover bands the best. And Catbite being one of them, because, you know, I've heard your band name and ska hand in hand since I've heard of you, but it's not just ska. There's a lot of interesting elements in there. The ska elements are in there, but on the new EP, Doom Garden, I think it was track 3. There was like almost a breakdown in the song, and I was like, "Yes, that's cool."
Or Eyes Wide.
Yeah.
No, that's and that's kind of something like, you know, from the very start of Catbite, like all of Catbite members are huge ska fans, and we're also just huge music fans in general. And like we all have our little things that we like love a lot of, but there's so much crossover. And like from the beginning, I like when we started, we're like ska band with no rules. That's it. No rules and no horns. No, I mean, we have horns in a couple of the songs, and that's always kind of been the thing. Is like, if we want to add horns, we're gonna fucking add horns.
Yeah.
But are we gonna have horns in the band? No. But we can add them on the tracks because we just want to make a bunch of really, really cool songs that come from our inspirations, songs that we want to listen to, and just kind of have that, you know, that ska center. But like the thing that I always say about ska is literally just a conglomerate of a bunch of different genres. That's literally how it started in Jamaica. It was calypso, it was soul, it was R&B, it was jazz, all these things that the Jamaicans would hear. They just put it all together and made really cool music. It just so happened to create ska. And then they decided one day, ska's over. All right, rock steady. And it's just like, you don't have, I just didn't want to keep making the same song after song after song after song. Like we just want to, like, you know, have just a blend of Catbite members' influences into this band. And that's why it's kind of always kind of a little bit going over here, over there, but it always kind of comes back to that, you know, Jamaican style of music. Right.
I think that's a perfect way to say it.
Yeah.
That is the way, because if it just sounds like one thing, whatever genre it is, if it's like youth crew hardcore or metalcore or ska bands that just all do that one chord, if that's all it is, I'm going to lose interest quickly. But when bands incorporate different things, different elements, and do different things with it, that's what keeps it interesting.
Yeah,
sure.
And it makes our live shows so much fun because we get to have like just go nut. Like
But I mean, yeah, go nuts. And sorry to cut you off again.
That's okay.
Interesting for like the listener, but also interesting for us because, like, you know, we're writing this music and like we're inspired by different things every day, you know, every week, every month.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't always want to write the same song. And maybe I do. Maybe I want to write 10 of the same song. But like, if I want to be able to write something new and try something different, or like I heard this really cool song and maybe it's not ska, but like I want to try to do something similar and make it into a Catbite sound. Like, I feel like we should be able to do that. And we do. And it's just so fun. And I love playing this stuff.
Yeah.
So when did we begin writing Doom Garden, the new EP?
So we were
beginning of last year.
kind of the beginning of last year is when we got serious, because we've been touring so much. We kind of got we lost track of time. We released Nice One, our second full length album in August of 2021. And, things just kind of went right fast. We were just like, okay, doing support tour, international tour, like all this stuff. And we just love touring and stuff. And we didn't really have time to write or record or even think about a new record. And then we're just like, oh shit, we got to write a new record. But then we kind of landed on the idea of like, let's not like let's just bang out a fucking amazing long EP. Because like we haven't released new music in so long. And what we want to do is write an all killer, no filler, literal, like just, collection of songs that is just what Catbite can do right now, without, going, because we wanted to stick with our Bad Time Records label because they've done so much for us. But, we didn't want to do a whole ass another record with them. And like, we kind of want to save our next record for go even bigger budget, like, really invest a lot of time into it. So we decided, let's just hunker down and write like this best little collection of shit that we can also, when we put it out, we want every song to be like a single, and we want every single song, most of the songs, to be in the set list. We don't want to just put out a record and then put 3 songs in the set list. We want to write a record and, take out like 1 or 2 songs and then put this whole record into the set list, because we're also, with this new record, we're like, okay, now we're a headlining band. We're going to start headlining. We're going to do full sets, and do all this EP in the set list. So that, we kind of decided this at the beginning of last year.
I think probably we had written like
little bits and
pieces of a couple songs at like the end of 2023, but beginning of 2024 is like when we really started to focus.
Yeah, and we kind of did the same thing. We kind of booked studio time before most of it was finished or recorded, and we knew we wanted to work with Sarah Tudson, and we made it all work. Like, she was really excited, and we booked studio time here in Philly at Retro City Sound Studios, out in Germantown, and which is just a really cool, very cool recording studio that we've wanted to work at. And Sarah stayed right here in this room with us, in our house with us, and we basically finished writing the songs. We finished the last song like a week before we started recording. But yeah, we kind of really got serious with the writing maybe 3 months before we recorded. So I want to say we recorded in July of last year.
End of July.
Yeah, so almost a year ago. And it was like we started having like twice a month get-togethers to work out new songs with the band, and they just came together very quickly. I think it was really exciting because the last time we wrote and recorded an album, it was almost November 2020. So it was 5 years ago almost. And we also,
I was just saying 5 years
ago. I know. That's crazy. But we were also, like, the thing is, before COVID, we were barely a band. We'd only played about maybe 15 shows pre-COVID, and then we wrote that entire record in COVID, separated from each other over the course of like 3 months.
Yeah, and that was an interesting story, right? It wasn't a plan to write the record, right? You were supposed to go out to California, and what happened? Were you going to tour, and then that didn't happen?
Yeah, it was supposed to be our first time doing touring. We were getting a little bit of traction, and we're like, all right, let's start touring on our self-titled record, because that only came out the year before. And so we had a decent amount of tour dates, maybe like 10, like we were going to do California and like the whole West Coast and like
and Canada.
Yeah. And all this stuff. And we'd already bought our tickets to LA because we were going to fly out there and then do like a West Coast tour. And then COVID happened, canceled everything, couldn't get a refund on the flights. So we're like, well, there's this producer I want to work with. Why don't we just write a record and fly out there? And we did that.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, that's that seems to be the continuing theme with Catbite is just like schedule something, right?
Yeah,
and then
always
make it happen. And I love that because I am not that person. But it's a great way to motivate yourself to get it done.
It's definitely a really good motivator.
It's literally the way I function. I have always been that way, and I'm really good at it. So I'm just going to keep doing that.
It works. The formula works for us. So
Yeah.
we're just going to keep doing it that way, I think.
Yeah. So far, so good.
It's working. So I would say stick with it.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So Patrick Stump of Fall Out Boy, guest vocals on Tired of Talk. How did you know him at all? Did you just cold call him and ask? All right, I'm curious. Because sometimes I cold call people for guests or whatever else, and it's always like, ugh, why am I going to do this? They're not going to answer, or it's. How did you? Was it Instagram? Was it email? Like, how did you get in touch with them? How did you try to get in touch with them?
Yeah. So I mean, it was through email, and
Back up to the beginning.
Yeah, let me back it up a little bit. So there's a podcast that we love called In Defense of Ska that two of our friends is the book In Defense of Ska and then the podcast to follow it. And so Aaron Carnes and Adam Davis, they had Patrick Stump on as a guest 2 times,
which they cold called him.
Yeah,
and he was like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah, and turns out he's a really big lover of ska and
obsessed.
Yeah, and so we listened to the podcast, and the second time he was on, he had actually written an instrumental ska song, his own,
where he played every instrument.
Yeah, he played all the instruments, and Tim and I think were listening to it in the car.
It was right when we were finishing recording,
and we knew there was like a couple songs that we wanted to have features on, and I just remember we both looked at each other and we were like, "What if?"
Should we hit up Patrick Stump and see if he wants to sing on this song?
Yeah,
and then we did, So yeah, we found out like his contact and. Basically we gave a song to a friend of ours and he like forwarded it and we're just like, send it, whatever. It's probably not going to happen. And then,
the worst, we were like, the worst that will happen is,
no answer
he
or
says
no.
No or no answer and we hear nothing. And then whatever, we move on. And it was like a month later, I think, that we got an email from him.
From Patrick Stump. Hey, this is Patrick Stump. I was sent your song and I would love to sing on it. It's great.
And we were
basically that was it. And then, we screamed and shat ourselves and just cried in the Target.
I mean, little pop punk me was like, oh my God.
We're literally
crazy.
We were like, it was insane. Cause we had a small list for Tired of Talk. We wrote that song to have a guest vocalist. We were only thinking just in the little bridge section. But we had a list and at the very top was Patrick Stump, thinking that wouldn't happen. And then some more realistic people that we would ask. And we were kind of holding off just until we either got an answer or, enough time had passed to ask the other people on the list. But yeah, he said, let's do it. And, we emailed back and forth a couple times. He is just the nicest person ever. He's so sweet and like
true Midwesterner,
just very nice guy. And just like, you could tell he was genuinely very excited to work on this. But the thing was like, we had ideas for what he wanted and I kept trying to give him the ideas and he kind of would just,
he would like answer other things and just like not
tastefully
respond to
ignore everything I ever said until one day when I was like, we're getting close to the deadline of like, oh, we need this, man. And I very politely, I'm like, hey, like, I know you're busy. And then like the next day he's like, I'm so sorry it took so long. I'm so sorry. Here it is. And he sent us 31 vocal tracks and 1 trumpet track. And he's like, sorry, I went absolutely nuts. Use whatever you want. Don't use whatever you don't want to use. Have fun. This song rocks, basically. And I just remember like listening to these raw vocal tracks and I'm like, this dude went nuts. Like he was just doing, 5-part harmonies. He wrote a whole bridge of like a whole vocal bridge that we didn't even ask him to, with lyrics that completely tied the song together, and then the fucking trumpet, like
It's pretty insane.
And so we ended up like deleting a lot of the harmonies that we did in the studio, because the song was basically done. We just wanted a little shazazz in the middle, and so we ended up deleting like a lot of Britt's like harmonies, and Ben had some harmonies. We took them all off, and then we kind of restructured the song to like with what Britt had and what Patrick had done, and Sarah, our producer, cousin, she just did like that. What you hear on the record is basically her first mix of what he gave her. He just gave it, or he just gave us so much, and she pieced it together so perfectly. It just gave the song like so much more oomph, you know. It was because it was a good fucking song before Patrick, but now I have to go back and listen to it. Just like I'm really curious to, like, because I kind of forget what all we did, because you know it's just a little bit different. There's a lot, you know, he did these little weird things that now are like the coolest little things that I can't.
Well, he's got like his. I feel like he has this like sound and stacks of harmonies that like you hear it and you're like, oh wow, that's very Patrick Stump. And he just like added those and like these really cool harmonies, and you're just like, wow, oh my gosh, it really made the song special.
Yeah. And then after all that, I emailed him like, hey, can you also send me a video of you dancing and singing along in front of a green screen? And he was like, sure. And he did it. He didn't do it too good, but it's still, I think it adds to the character. It's just like, he's like fixed. He has a glare in his glasses the whole time. The green screen is like blowing behind him. There must be like an open window. I don't know. He's like fixing his hair.
It's chaotic, but it's great.
Yeah. And I like pieced it together with some other stuff, and we made like we have 2 music videos. One is crazy good animated one, and then I made a stupid funny one as well. So
that's amazing, right? When you reach out and actually hear back from somebody, and then when you can tell that they're actually into it, like he gives you 32 vocal tracks and you have so much to work with. I love those types of things. Yeah,
it's great.
Well, Doom Garden is out now on Bad Time Records, so we want everybody to check that out, right?
Yeah,
it's very good.
I mean, come on, what are we doing? And then I saw you've got all kinds of great tours coming up. Less Than Jake and Fishbone. You've got a tour of the West Coast with Suicide Machines coming up.
So the tour is Less Than Jake, Suicide Machines, Fishbone, and us.
Oh,
all on one bill.
All on one tour. Wow.
All on one tour. So they're actually on their first leg right now, and our friends Bite Me Bambi, they're the one of 4 doing that. It's like East Coast, Midwest, and then we're doing West Coast, Southwest, and South, and whatever. And that's going to be July and August.
Awesome. That's going to be a good summer, huh?
Yeah. And also we also have some headline stuff in September as well. It'll be our biggest headline tour. We're doing about 10 shows. Up it's kind of Midwest, Northeast, Canada. We're busy. I just finally added up the numbers. We're at confirmed 98 shows in 2025.
Really? Already?
Yes. Well, that's where it will be at the end of the year. There's some unannounced, but yeah, basically from April 2025 to December 2025, we have 98 shows. Crazy. Maybe get 2 more.
Yeah, we should definitely we'll add 2 more.
Yeah, we have to. I have to just say we did 100 shows. So we'll figure it out.
That's amazing. Well, I'm happy for both of you and the rest of the band, and it looks like a lot of great things are happening, and I hope that continues. And I just want to say thank you so much for both coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
This was awesome.
And there you have it. Great conversation with Brittany and Tim from Catbite. Like I told them during the conversation, I think the recurring story of Catbite is just getting things done, no matter what. From booking the first recording and not even really having a drummer, from booking the first show and not even really having a drummer, and then just finding one and getting that done, to making the most out of their time in California when their tour got canceled. So they instead recorded their second LP, Nice One. They just get it done. I like their brand of ska music too. Check out the new EP, Doom Garden. I really enjoyed it. They've got a fresh take on things, so it's no surprise that they're doing as well as they are. I wish them continued success, so thank you so much, Brittany and Tim, for coming on the show. So let's check in. How are we doing? I'm good. It's been an exhausting week. There's just been so much stuff going on. There was the trip, and then coming back and getting ready for the show, and then the show, and then I was in Woodstock to see Hot Water Music and Walter Schreifel's a couple days ago. I'll be recapping that next week or whenever I check in again. That was a good show. It's just been nonstop stuff going on, and I'm craving a day to just sit around and do mostly nothing, but I don't think that will be happening anytime soon. So, earlier this week, my band Memory Entry played a gig at the Wood Shop in Brooklyn with North End and Signal Hill. The Wood Shop is in that row of venues where Brooklyn Monarch and Brooklyn Meadows are. It was my first time there. Decent sized venue. Close to home. Gotta love that. But it was a good venue. Good lighting, good presentation. They have a screen behind where the bands play so we could display our we had a graphic. We displayed a graphic behind us and had our lighting scheme. So the presentation was really nice. We played with North End and Signal Hill. Memory Entry opened the show. And it was a good time. I don't know what it is about certain shows, but I just get like incredibly nervous before certain shows, and this was one of them. Maybe because we haven't played since March. I don't know, but my nerves were at an all-time high, and I was just having a really hard time getting adjusted and getting set up and getting ready for the show, but it went pretty good. I had some minor technical difficulties. There were also some minor technical difficulties at the venue. But despite all of that, it was a good time and it was a fun time, and I'm happy with our set. I always think this set was much worse in my mind, but then I watch clips of it and I'm like, oh, okay, that was not as bad as I imagined. I'm a perfectionist. It is a problem. So unless everything goes 100% completely perfect, I'm not going to be happy. But I try not to let that ruin everything, and I don't. It was a good time and a good set. After us was North End. North End are an instrumental band out of Philadelphia, and they do kind of mathy, slightly more technical stuff. Amazing stuff. I know the band. I have heard them before. I've listened to them. I have enjoyed them, but this was my first time seeing them. And if you have the opportunity to do so, you really should. After North End was Signal Hill. A band I have been a fan of since 2007. Actually, Tommy, my old co-host from this podcast, turned me on to them. He made me a mix CD, and the song Los Federales was on it from Signal Hill's debut EP. Heard that, and I've been a fan ever since. This was Signal Hill's first show in 9 years. Their last show was in 2016 at a venue called Matchless in Brooklyn that is no longer around anymore. I've seen the band probably 3, maybe 4 times. This was easily the best time I've ever seen them. It was a great mix of old and new songs. They just put out a new album last year called Discarded Futures. That was their first full-length LP in 8 years. So they are back in a big way, and I loved it. I loved getting to meet everyone. I loved getting to see everyone in person. Shout out Dave, Tim, Rishi, Eric, and all the guys in North End. It was just a lot of fun. Spirits were high. Every band on the bill was great and did a great job. So I can't say enough great things. And check out Signal Hill too if you haven't heard them. Every release they've put out is great. My personal favorite is 2009's More After We're Gone. That is a rare, perfect album. So definitely check it out. So yeah, all in all, just a great night. I'm just happy to be in an active band again where everybody gets along and everything is solid, and we play shows on a regular basis. We get on good shows on a regular basis. That is what I've wanted again for a long time now, and it's happening. So I'm happy. So that is it. That is everything for this week. I'm back next week with a new episode and a new guest, and I'll see you then.